What's up everyone, welcome back to another stream. How's everyone doing? Sorry for the delay. Let's take a look at the market and see what's going on and what opportunities we are going to be able to take advantage of for tomorrow. So welcome. Today we're going to do a pre-market analysis. So I do this every day, so feel free to join at around 7 p.m. Basically it's an opportunity to start preparing tomorrow's trading session. So yeah, join me. I look at FX, indices, commodities including gold and oil, and a little bit of crypto as well, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So yeah, feel free to share your levels. What are you looking for? Basically the idea is to try to identify 2, 3, 4 at least opportunities to take advantage for tomorrow trading session and try to be correct on the daily bias that we are looking for. Today, in terms of news, there was not really much going on until we had the consumer confidence at 3 p.m. Again, it remained the same as it was. It's quite high at 111. It's a good one. And then we had just right now the FOMC meeting minutes. This is in regards to the previous FOMC meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago. And tomorrow is going to be actually the busiest day of the week. Many of the news, they were pushed from Thursday to Wednesday because on Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving Day. So tomorrow you're going to have GDP in the US, unemployment claims, and then core PC at 3 p.m. That's actually quite interesting. Usually this news event, core PC, is at 1:30, but tomorrow is being pushed for 3 p.m. And before that we have CPI in Australia and then New Zealand, right? So again, expect some volatility across this Asian and New Zealand pairs. They're at an interesting level. We're going to look for it to see if there's an opportunity or not to look for it. Then Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, and then Friday is Black Friday. And basically the end of November, and they're going to get closer to this last month of the year, right? 2024 is almost gone. Now, what we had in here, right? So we had the gap that was created over the weekend. Right, so that's basically where the market opened. We had this gap in here and price opened somewhere in there, right? And that was across the different assets, different markets. And on Monday, price didn't really reach the level, right? Basically retraced a little bit and then you created the new low in here. What happened is that apparently we had another move, and this is basically the announcement of Trump, right? Trump is back, and if you're not still active when Trump was president last time, be ready for it, because we are going to start seeing crazy moves at different times of the day, all of a sudden, without anyone being prepared for it, which means the Trump tweets, basically, that's what we are going to call it. Apparently yesterday, close to midnight in the UK time, Trump announced or tweeted that he was about to increase tariffs or put tariffs of 25% in Mexico and Canada, and all of a sudden we saw the dollar CAD and dollar pairs as well making a huge move at a strange hour, because usually price doesn't really move that much at 11:30 p.m. But in that moment you actually had that push. It was basically this one, and there you go. It was an opportunity actually for price to close the gap that was created over the weekend, and now price basically closed it and it moved downside. So that part, the level that we were looking for yesterday, that was already done in there with that big move, and then price make another low. In reality, we are still trading within this level. Price did manage to respect this low in here. I was looking to see if price eventually would get a little bit closer to this level. I do know that this demand was still fresh. Basically, price may have reacted already in there, and now it reacted a little bit more, even deeper into that level. But this for me was already kind of a break to the downside. I was trying to see if this dollar index would go closer perhaps to this level before making an attempt to go higher. So that was more of the space that I was looking to see dollar index to fill around this level. Apparently price managed to just keep respecting this demand zone in there. The price can continue, maybe it can even be another reaction from this level, or eventually price can go slightly higher in there. Now, bigger picture, we are bullish. In my opinion, what the move that we had last Friday with the spike is still an engulf to the upside. So let's not get it twisted. We actually managed to break out of the structure even that high. However, as you can see, like since the beginning of October, that dollar index has been in this bullish run, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, basically 8 weeks in a row let's consider this one is also bullish. Eight consecutive bullish weekly candles in a row on the dollar index, and it may be time for a retracement. Alright, as you can see, you didn't really have that much of a retracement during all this period, and we may be at a good level now that we have managed to take all these highs in here. Alright, we may be in the good level to finally have some kind of retracement before eventually price continues to move to the upside, and I do expect eventually dollar index to get closer to this zone in there. But this is actually quite good. Okay, anytime we kind of take an important high and also that high where price was reacting to on the left side, that's always a good level to expect price to react from and to have some kind of reaction and a bounce from here. Question mark is how big of a reaction is going to be. This is the initial space that I was looking for, and price basically is reacting or got already close to it. I could still see, as I mentioned, price getting a little bit closer to that level. So that's still the range where I'm going to be looking for in here on the dollar index. I'm not the biggest fan of what's going on in here. When you are going to look at the different dollar pairs, we are going to see that some of them, again, it's going to be the inverse. Like I'm talking about Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, even pound dollar. They are much closer to this level in here, which makes it maybe a better level to potentially look for shorts. In this case, longs, if the dollar index does want to continue to move to the downside. Euro dollar is still a little bit far away, just similar to dollar index, is still far away from kind of the extreme. And I'm going to be looking more for price to eventually get closer to one of the extremes to see what's going to happen next, or at least to look for opportunities in there. So yeah, let me know, guys, what you think and what is your take on the dollar index, and yeah, what is your overall bias? Are you still bullish? Are you bearish? Like, what are you expecting a reaction here or not? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And next, we go into the US indices, right? And this is exactly the same. So on Sunday, when we did our weekly analysis, we were looking for the dollar US indices to retest these highs, right? That's basically a little bit of the levels that we were anticipating. Yesterday, price indeed reacted from here. It closed basically that gap, and now is retesting. And now it starts to become a double top, almost triple top in here, which means that I think we are going to get really close to break that high, and then question mark is what's going to happen afterwards. Like, are you going to be work as a breakout and price gain momentum again to the upside, or price will eventually basically break the structure that maybe breaks these highs and start moving to the downside again? That's going to be a little bit of the question mark in here. Again, S&P, as I mentioned in this particular case, I do like that this will kind of open the door to go a little bit further down. So eventually I do like the idea of eventually S&P going and filling out this range, and then doesn't really stop in here and goes all the way to that level. So when you do have that opportunity to look for that short, I'm going to be looking for that potential move. Of course, doesn't mean that price will, as soon as you get a potential short, doesn't mean that price will go straight away in there. There are a few levels in here that maybe price still needs to break before it actually starts opening the door to go all the way through. And one of the doors is at this point is this one. Like, we had this on, price respected it, like within this gap in here. And now again, yes, I would like to see actually price taking these highs and then moving to the downside. This was a level at the extreme in here, price basically reacting a little bit from it, but is not really managing to break below that structure in here. So yeah, we will see. We'll see what's going to happen in here, but I wouldn't be surprised if you do have kind of a fake out of this level. Then you'll see if you're going to have some bearishness in here or not. Otherwise, just let it continue to go higher, and then eventually you're going to have that in there. Now, looking at the Nasdaq. All right, so yeah, Nasdaq, as I mentioned, it was still a little bit further away from the highs comparing with the S&P, and I still like potentially the idea of price reacting a little bit from that level. I think there's still a fresh zone in there. We'll see what's going to happen. This was another one, we mentioned that on Sunday, but we'll see what's going to happen at around this level in here. It's a nice approach. Again, price basically reacting a little bit from that level, so we'll see if we're going to have a little bit more of structure being broken to the downside, and then maybe you can have the move without even managing to break the high. So again, S&P, I think price will eventually break the highs. Nasdaq, I don't really see the need just yet, but of course it can go and break it. In reality, I actually prefer where this low is reacting on the Nasdaq comparing with the S&P, but we may actually keep respecting these highs and move to the downside without the need to break it. Again, S&P, I do like the idea of breaking it. Dow is a bit more bullish. This is kind of a nice reaction, if I correctly, kind of from this level in here. Basically, that's the last supply that was still fresh. That price kind of broke, especially with the gap over the weekend. Then price just kept respecting this previous level of support resistance in here, and now it got closer to that level of supply that basically is turning into a demand zone in here. All right, so again, you need to pay attention to those levels that were not respected on the way up, because they tend to be then respected on the way down in here. So that's a nice one. Again, let it go. It's interesting that we did manage to break this low. All right, so there's a little bit of a few of the lows in here being broken, but that doesn't really mean that that's an engulf to downside straight away. Price can actually then still manage to break new highs in here, and maybe after that we can have it. Like, it starts to potentially become this pattern that I do love to trade, which is basically create a little bit of a range, start breaking to the downside, showing indication where it wants to go in the future. But before actually commits and actually continues to go from here, it goes all the way up in here. It takes out these highs, collecting all the liquidity from these sellers, and then you can eventually turn and respect finally the engulf to downside that you had in here. Doesn't mean that it's going to be just like that. You can actually gain maybe some momentum before eventual price turns again. So that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, I like what I can see a little bit now on the Dow from here. Then we have the DAX, which yeah, continue to respect that level. Now pushing to the downside. Again, it's still around this level. This is a good one. Okay, that's basically the high that managed to break out of the structure in here. So it's a valid supply level. Again, there's still maybe at the extreme a little bit of a zone in there as well. So we'll see what's going to happen in here. Maybe price had already reacted from this level. 1 second. Yeah, question mark in there. Maybe need to change time frame. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen here on DAX. I'm not really interested in trading right now anything in here. Now, looking at crypto and Bitcoin in particular, like, so if you guys recall my prediction yesterday, it's kind of playing out a little bit, and I'm curious to see if now price is going to finally gain momentum or not in here, right? We are creating this structure. I think this is quite interesting. I think some people may be starting to get a little bit scared in terms of what can happen here on Bitcoin, especially for everyone that perhaps went long just before the US election, all right, or even just after the US election, that managed to catch this rally from 74 all the way to basically 100, all right. So if they start noticing that price is starting to break some lows in here, they may get scared and they may start closing their positions, with the fear that maybe price is going to go all the way back to retest the previous all-time high that was at around 73, 74, right? So if that happens, that's going to start creating scarcity for those traders. And then we have these guys in here that start to be quite happy because they start noticing that price is moving to the downside. And it will be actually quite good if price actually perhaps will make another attempt to go higher, finally break this level. So it starts to make everyone that was interested in selling at this level a bit concerned, and literally taking out the stop losses from them. You see the break to the upside in here at 100k, so that's definitely another key level that everyone's going to be looking to add and to go long. I believe that this 100k is working a little bit as a level of resistance, as you can see in here, and then one of the two things happens, like either price kind of starts with you gaining the momentum, or this move is just literally a fake out, traps everyone in here, and then starts actually pushing to the downside and creating even more confusion in here. If I was in control of everything in here, I would actually do this. This would be one of the best ways to manipulate everyone that is kind of trading at around this level, or even is long from that level. Any buyers from basically from the beginning of this month, or any sellers that are trying to hold price in here, everyone in here will be manipulated. Then price will finally move to downside. These guys now are completely scared as well. These ones are completely concerned, and then finally price is ready to make the move and finally go all the way to eventually 110, 120, 130, and so on. But that's a little bit of how I would actually move Bitcoin in here. It would create a lot of manipulation, a lot of like the battle between fear and greed. And that emotional battle, it will be quite exposed for many traders if price was about to move like that. Ethereum is respecting this last level in here, which is one of the last levels that we have before price entering into this compression zone. So it managed to hold. If price was about to break above that level, then you're looking for price to get quite easily, in my opinion. It will go to the 3,700, close to 3,800. But at this point, it still holds. It's actually starting to potentially break some lows in here. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Of course, we do have this next structure that price can easily respect and continue to push the upside. So we'll see what's going to happen. Solana also starting to move a bit to the downside after faking out that all-time high. So we'll see also what's going to happen at around that level. And even Ethereum Bitcoin, like, eventually could see a little bit more of a push, and eventually price can go closer to this level in there, right? That's maybe the level that eventually I would like to see this one moving. This was a great move in here. Price is reacting from a great level on the left side. So yeah, we can see a little bit perhaps more of momentum on Ethereum opposite to Bitcoin until maybe price gets closer to that level. We'll see. And then going into the currency indices, as always, we look at the Euro index and also Yen index aside from dollar index. So Euro index, similar to the Euro dollar, is starting to find a little bit of buying pressure. Again, we were expecting that. It has been also moving to downside for quite a long time, and that's not that often that you see on FX, right? You may have those momentums of trending, but usually price moves a bit more in a stairway kind of oscillation, going up a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, not just going to downside. Right, so again, in my opinion, this is a move to downside. I can see eventually dollar in the Euro index, sorry, going closer to this level in here, right? At least maybe that structure. So that's for the bigger picture, but for now, I think price could retest a little bit. We'll see how price may react from this level, and perhaps then continue to push lower. At this point, yeah, it's literally moving quite similar to the Euro dollar. To be honest, we'll see. We haven't really closed the gap just yet, so that's something to bear in mind. Price may have just reacted from the upper edge in here, or maybe didn't even do that. So yeah, this one is still there eventually to be filled before anything else. And then you have the Yen index, which filled the target and the space that you're looking for. If you guys recall, we have been looking for those longs on the Yen index. Actually, we've been waiting for this for quite a long time, all the way since October, that we're anticipating that move. It's everything perfect. It's kind of accumulating quite a lot in here. All the transition from basically those lows in here all the way until there, it's great. Price is breaking some structure to the upside, showing the indication where it wants to go next, respecting then the next levels, and it keeps going until it finally now fills one of these initial spaces that I was looking for, right? I was looking for price to fill this rectangle and get closer to that level. Now it's there, so we'll see what's going to happen in here, right? If it's going to continue to gain momentum, and it could, because this phase in here looks like it was a nice accumulation phase in here, and eventually could break and start gaining momentum. We already had this deep retracement closer to this level, so there's really not the need again to go all the way down towards this level, even though we may have actually left behind a nice retail zone in there that eventually could be visited and retested, and then price could continue to go higher. So yeah, it's interesting in here. So we have this strong yen index, which basically is pushing out individual yen pairs to the downside. We'll see now, right? So again, we have been bullish. Price now fill the target, fill the space in there, and now I need to see what's going to happen. Is price going to continue with the momentum? If that happens, then price starts getting a little bit closer to this the next level in here, almost 750 in there, and then can even go all the way, right? This can actually be the beginning and perhaps even retest that level, but let's just play zone by zone at this point. We'll see what's going to happen in here. Now, looking at the individual currency pairs, right? So let's jump into the euro dollar as always. 1 second. All right, it's working now. So looking at the euro dollar, right? As I mentioned, quite similar to the euro index and basically the opposite of the dollar index. So price is reacting from that level. We mentioned that this is actually an interesting zone, a nice demand zone that was still fresh. None of the structure here actually reacted from it, which means that that was a nice level to eventually see price, or the euro dollar in this case, to react from. We had that gap, which was basically closed with that move overnight yesterday, and now price is actually starting to manage to break some highs. Okay, so I'm okay. Again, I'm not the biggest fan when you have such a spike like this, because it's always tricky where to put stop loss in a trade like that. But I'm kind of okay with the low. And if price does want to make a slightly new low, basically faking out this level and then turn straight away again, I'll be also okay, maybe even better with that potential scenario. Now we start to break some highs in here, so that's something to pay attention, and eventually this could mean a little bit more of a turn to the upside in here on the euro. So yeah, question mark is the euro going to just respect this structure in here, and then maybe find some buying pressure, or it wants to go even further down, maybe getting closer to something else somewhere in here, or even again taking this low one more time before committing to the upside. So that's something to bear in mind. Yes, price may have respected this level in here, that I'm not really going to give that much importance to this side, to be honest, in there. So yeah, this one is a little bit tricky. We'll see how price may react from this level. I do like the compression at this point. Maybe they seal that level in there. So yeah, we'll see. Pound dollar, it's slightly different, right? Because as I mentioned, this was exactly the level that I mentioned yesterday, that I would like to see a potential look forward trades in there, because this for me was an engulf to the upside. I mentioned that also yesterday. And again, unfortunately, kind of price visited this level at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, so I'm not awake of that time. And then I woke up, price was already kind of far away from the zone, right? So again, we did manage to break new highs in here. It's still kind of reacting from that same structure. All right, it's not exactly, yes, we did manage to break a new high, so that's also we can definitely pay attention to that. But price is still just reacting from this next level. All right, and from here it can definitely find some selling pressure and perhaps continue to move to downside, which is basically the trend that we have seen on the pound dollar. And price visiting this level one more time, it starts to make it really weak at this point, those lows, which can lead eventually to even a new low before price moving to or having a bigger reaction to the upside eventually, if that's the case. All right, so again, could even get a little bit closer to that level. Yeah, or even just continue to move and then eventually start targeting this low in there, and then you're looking actually maybe for price to get closer to that zone in here. So that's something to pay attention in here on the pound dollar. I still like a zone in here. So if price does want to go slightly lower in here, I still like that level potentially to look for longs. I'm not going to reject that possibility. I like also the compression that we're having here. Again, you did manage to break a new high, so that can always be a potential engulf to the upside within this most recent structure that we have. Now we are noticing a little bit of a move in here, so we'll see. All right, so we'll see what's going to happen in here on the pound dollar. But yes, opposite, exactly what I mentioned yesterday, if you guys recall, in terms of the euro dollar, was that I mentioned that I would be much happier to look for longs on the pound dollar, because the pound dollar would get a little bit closer to these lows, which means that then you could at least use this reference as to place your stop loss in terms of looking for longs, while the euro dollar, it would be maybe a little bit of the level where the gap was, but nothing much. Like you cannot really go all the way and place stop loss below the low on the euro dollar. It's quite, it will be quite wide, and it could kill the risk reward. All right, so that's pound dollar. We'll see potential longs in there. We have euro pound, which is also filling this space in there. So that's a nice initial move. Eventually, if price does want to, of course, getting closer to this level, we need to break this. We need to break this structure, and that's eventually something that can happen. Yeah, but for that to happen, maybe pound dollar does need to move a little bit more to downside. So we'll see. on the other side, it can definitely hold this level and potentially push one more time lower. All right, so maybe price even hadn't really reacted from that level. It's creating a lot of structure in here, so we could even perhaps check out that level. I mean, all this size, and maybe move lower after that. So that's just something to bear in mind in here. Looking at the Aussie dollar, right? Aussie dollar is going to be interesting. We have CPI overnight at 12:30 a.m. UK time, and this is an interesting one. So we did manage to break above that level, so that's an interesting engulf up. The same thing in here, right? So basically you have at this point 2 engulfs to the upside on the Aussie dollar. We did have that fake out as well of that zone, and price is still kind of reacting from in here, right? Again, it's a little bit of a tricky one as well because it's a big spike, and of course price can easily just continue and maybe get closer to the extreme, or again, if it wants to react from here and go higher, it could, right? And now we start printing a little bit of this bullishness in terms of breaking previous highs, so that's a little bit of a bullish sign in here, which I do like it. But I do struggle liking to kind of enjoy or liking this level in here. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so in here, okay, kind of price is reacting nicely from that level. Just below those lows and kind of the extreme in there. Yeah, it's basically where price exactly reacted from, just underneath all these lows into that level. Yeah, so we'll see. New Zealand, it's a little bit better, to be honest. It's also moving. All right, starting to move. So yeah, this is a nice one. New Zealand is reacting from a really nice level. We have interest rate decision overnight, so of course it's going to be quite volatile. So it's a little bit tricky, but I could see actually New Zealand making a good move to the upside from this level. This is a good level. All right, it's a really nice demand zone that none of these lows in here reacted from it. And that looks quite nice, to be honest. What we have in here is that we have a good compression. We have it managed to break, maybe not. Yeah, it didn't really manage to break this high, but it broke this structure here, and now it's actually moving to the upside right now. Yeah, I was looking to see if price actually would go slightly lower this level and maybe reacting from here. At this point, it's basically creating a double bottom, which is actually quite nice as well. So we'll see if we're going to have one last perhaps fake out in here and push, right? But unfortunately now it's a bit late, and yeah, then it's going to be the interest rate decision. Again, expecting a 50 basis points rate cut in New Zealand. So yeah, definitely expecting volatility in here, but it's at a really good price. Potential turn in there. Now, Euro Aussie, right? Similar to the other Euro pairs, and since the Aussie dollar is actually moving to the downside, this one is moving upwards. Yeah, that was a really good one as well. So we fake out all these lows in here. That was really good into basically that demand zone in there. So we'll see what's going to happen next. Again, you can target perhaps that level. Of course, you may have some reaction before that, and this actually looks nice, taking all these highs. But yeah, overall, eventually getting closer to that next level. Yeah, and then we were looking also at pound Aussie, right? And yeah, it's moving. Yeah, it's moving to the upside as well in here. Nice. Looking at the Aussie yen, right? So Aussie yen, we have, yeah, basically we have price filling out the range. So we talked about this engulf to the downside. Price broke that structure again. That high is reacting from that zone on the left that we've been also looking for, and yeah, this is a really nice PA overall. Really nice PI. Eventually could have gone a little bit higher. It didn't. It just reacted from this structure. It's totally okay. It fake out that structure in there. Before that, it had already created that engulf to the downside, and since then is moving lower, right? This is also kind of a nice pattern again. create a little bit of a range, break lower, and then fake out, and then initiate the next momentum. And yeah, basically when you're looking at the spice in here, you're looking for this Aussie yen to get closer to this level without a doubt, right? So that's where I'm going to be aiming. It's basically for this Aussie yen to get closer to here, with the possibility to even go further down. The other yen pairs, this is something that we also were looking for, all right? The break to the downside in there, small fake out of that level is basically the same thing that we saw on the Aussie yen, just a slightly different shape of the move. But this is also what you're looking like. The thing goofed down, price reacting from a good level on the left side until price eventually could feel the next price, and now can even go lower than that. Price has been moving quite slowly into that level, but there you go, benefiting from the push downside a little bit on the dollar recently, and also the move to the upside on the yen index, and now we have this dollar yen also moving like this. And yeah, it looks like it's gaining a little bit of momentum in here. I believe there was someone, I think Biden was speaking. Yeah, so we'll see. Euro yen also continuing to move to the downside, so no surprise. That was a good reaction here, but eventually I'm expecting this euro yen also to move. That was kind of accumulation distribution in this case of that level. Yeah, good reaction from here, and then just moving to the downside. Haven't really managed to break any key level at this point, so eventually can go and actually create new lows in here. Yeah. On the end, also continue the move to the downside. Again, you're looking for price to get a little bit closer into that level. There's an initial good reaction from that demand zone, but overall, I think it can continue getting a little bit closer to this next zone in there. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on in here on the pound yen. Especially if the yen index does manage to break above that structure and wants to continue to go higher, then you can continue to have much more bearishness in here on the yen pairs. Yeah, that was definitely a good level in their break. Like again, all the PA around here, it was quite good. Looking at CAD yen, why not, right? So we have basically yesterday with that move, price filled the range, right? Basically it filled the first target, one of the targets that we had in here, which was within this range, basically going all the way below those lows. And now we are approaching that level. Basically price today just ranged. We'll see if there's enough in here of liquidity to actually turn to the upside as price may get closer to that level. Yeah, otherwise price may just go slightly lower. Yeah, all right, so what next? The end, yeah, looking into the dollar CAD, right? There you go, like the move that happened after Trump tweeted yesterday night about the tariffs, 25% tariffs. Of course, that's a negotiation approach that Trump does, and everyone that was trading before, they know, and we know that this can happen, and this is going to be again quite interesting next 4 years of trading with this type of moves anytime Trump tweets about something. So yes, interesting enough, price still hold that level. It could fill this level. Okay, you did manage to break that low before, which makes it quite interesting in terms of the pattern that I do like to trade. That makes it actually quite interesting in here, because price did manage to go and break below that this above bottom, and then it turned. We do have that thing move to downside, and now we have that fake out. So we may have that move, and eventually can even go lower, potentially getting closer to that zone in there. Okay, so that could be a possibility. Of course, price can just react as well from somewhere around the structure in here, and it could even, yeah, then we'll see. So that's something to bear in mind in here on the dollar card. I do like it. Price basically went a little bit closer to that level. I was looking for price eventually to get a little bit more into there, but maybe that's enough where price is reacting right now to see a little bit more of a bearish push in here. Yeah, so that's what we have. Again, EuroCAD, what's going on with EuroCAD? Yeah, EuroCAD, really good reaction as well. Like, it was a massive reaction, kind of price reacting from that level. In here, kind of a weekly or even monthly zone after such a bearish move in here. Now, basically, price, yeah, it basically filled out this initial range that we had. Like, that's basically the origin of this move to the downside. Price just went there, retested, and finding some selling pressure in here. All right, pound cards. Yeah, pound cards. Yeah, it took out that level. It's perfect, and now it's reacting from that zone as well that we had in here. So that's also quite interesting. Yeah, so we'll see. All right, the move is already there. It's already gone in here. Yeah, overall, bigger picture, it can continue to go much further down. And I do like perhaps a little bit of this level, then can even go lower. Price is reacting from an interesting zone in there after faking out all those highs. So yeah, it could eventually go even lower. But we'll see. We'll see how price may react around this structure. Right, that was an important level of resistance before, and maybe eventually we could find some yeah, some buying power from that level. Dollar franc Swiss, it continues in here, so that high, it is quite good. It's actually really good where price reacted, but again, the gap hasn't really been closed yet, which means that eventually that could be in play. The price just kept respecting now this left shoulder in here, pushing to the downside, even managed to break slightly that low. So we'll see how price eventually can react from here as well. But that's a little bit of the range that we have been looking for. So price already reacted from this extreme, goes higher, kind of reacts from that level as well. Yeah, basically this is a little bit of one of the last fresh levels that is in here to hold price up. Because if price starts breaking this level, then it starts open door to go way further down in here. In terms of what you're looking in here, yeah, we'll see. Right, I'd like actually to see this gap being closed and potentially look for more shorts in here on our franc Swiss. Yeah, and then gold that made a really good move, a continuation, and you're looking for gold to get a little bit closer in here. So I don't like the idea of seeing gold potentially picking out these lows. I like that price is pausing slightly higher from maybe the level that it should, even though kind of just fake out that zone. So we'll see. But it could create a little bit of PA in here or even in there, and then push to the upside again. Right. So yeah, that looks an interesting zone. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on in here on gold. Yeah, that's possible. Next, silver. What's going on with silver as well? Right, silver has been a bit more bearish, so it reacted as well from the demand zone that we had in here. Yeah, that was very interesting. But we didn't really manage to break the highs just yet. Well, we did manage to break this one, kind of get respecting that level, then we respect again the highs. So we'll see what's going to happen around this structure in here, and if we're going to have more bearishness or not in here on silver. Now this low did manage to break that level, so that's going to be an interesting one if we're going to have a continuation and potentially getting closer to that zone in there, or if we're going to have actually a deeper retrace from here and eventually challenge and kind of go higher from this level. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind in here on silver, but so far Basically, price reacted really nicely from that zone. And then oil, which made a completely move to the downside in here, and I'm looking to see price eventually getting closer again to these lows. Oil has been trading within this range between 65, basically 60, 65 something, all the way to 72, 73. So yeah, we'll see, right? You can see how many times price actually has been trading in here. It was a quite move. Price went up again, moved to the downside, and yeah, we'll see how price may react from around this level in here. Yeah, Brent basically doing the exact same in here. Right. So yeah, that's basically it. It looks like that the dollar is taking its time to commit potentially to a move to the downside, and I still think that price is reacting from an interesting level on the left to start seeing that that bearishness on the dollar index. So I'm going to be positioning a bit more towards that direction. Dollar index already closed the gap. Let's see how price may react from that level. I do like the idea potentially of looking for longs on the yeah, on the other dollar pairs, right? Potentially pound dollar, even though again, if it wants to create a new low, it can as well. Aussie dollar can be interesting. New Zealand, you're going to have interest rate decision, but it's also it's within an interesting high, which we can actually have a really big move to the upside from where we are in terms of risk reward. Can be quite reasonable, because I could eventually see even this New Zealand going all the way. Of course, you do need to break above this level. But eventually could go all the way closer to not even there, but actually somewhere in here. All right, so that's potentially a move in here on New Zealand that we can have. If prices want to make new lows in here, then it makes in there. And again, with the interest rate in a few hours, that's going to be an interesting one. What else? Yeah, dollar CAD, if it goes slightly more to the upside, then I think there's going to be more selling pressure as well. I think price is approaching an interesting zone on the left side, which you could see a little bit of some selling pressure. Same thing we could mention as well on the dollar franc Swiss, potentially for shorts if price especially get closer to close the gap. Oil, let it go down a little bit more to look for shorts. Gold, I'm curious to see how price may start approaching this zone in here. I could see maybe a little bit of a reaction to the upside as well from where it is. Or okay, not from where it is, but a little bit lower. Yeah, that's basically it. In terms of the N pairs, big question mark in terms of the N index. If it breaks the structure to the upside, then we can anticipate how these N pairs to continue to move lower, and we have clear targets in here, kind of spaces that we are looking for price to fill. Pound yen, euro yen, pound yen, sorry, dollar yen, and so on, inclusive Aussie yen as well. So yeah, let's see if it's going to continue or not in that direction. Yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, and yeah, feel free to let me know in the comments what are you trading and what levels are you looking for. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.